Welcome to RabidMining YouTube channel, everyone. And I got a few items here that I think every crypto miner should have at least one of. And there's a few items that I want to go through and actually showcase things you may want to have more than one of. And what better time to make a video like this would be on Amazon Prime Day. So today is the first day of Amazon Prime Day, so I will have a link in the description to everything I show here. And if you're not even going to look for anything crypto mining, I consider you guys to please just hit any of my links anyway, and you can search anything you want, even if it's a dishwasher, and it will help support the channel in a little way at no extra cost to yourself. So the first item up on this list is the handy dandy watt meter. Now I'm pretty sure most miners already have their hands on at least one of these, and if you don't and you've been waiting, why not do it on an Amazon Prime Day? You'll probably find a decent deal for it. But why do I recommend a watt meter? That's way you can at least test out your GPUs and know exactly how much power you are consuming, because that is the #1 expense of a crypto miner, is its power draw. So tweak your GPUs and utilize one of these so you know how much power you're using. Don't just, go by what you see on a blog post or YouTube. I always recommend do the test yourself so you know for sure how your card does perform. So next up, inside this bag here, this is a hard drive reader. So it's a universal. So I'm going to open it up. I'm going to show you, but you can see there's kind of a plate here as well as this attachment here. So let me get this open, see how you can utilize this. But I really think this is a very important thing to have in your arsenal. This has saved me so much time and effort in past trying to set up Hive OS or NiceHash OS or any type, simple mining, whatever you need to flash drives and any kind of drive, this will do it for you. So this universal hard drive reader does come in a two-piece kit. One, this is for your standard SSDs. I'll show you how that works in a second. But this is the part that I do think a few extra dollars extra really makes life easy. So this supports mSATA, M2, and various lengths of M2 drives as well. So I'm going to show you what this means. So I got a little short mSATA here. I would just take this little standoff here, set it over here, and then screw this down, and this will totally read this little mSATA drive now. Now you can also see it says mSATA. If you do have an mSATA drive, which some RevTech motherboards do utilize, you will put it in this slot and then simply hit this switch here, and that will engage the mSATA slot in order for it to be read from this universal reader here. In order to plug any hard drive into your PC itself, you simply just got to put in this USB attachment. It has the data as well as data controller in it, so it powers everything up and reads it within anything that you put on this board here. And then a simple USB 3 will go into your computer. You'll read that. You can utilize that to flash any hard drive, and then you'll be up and running in Hive OS or whatever need be. Now, as you can see, this attachment here is exactly the same that fits a standard SSD drive. So simply unplug it from your little board here for your M2 and mSATA slots, plug it into a standard SSD, and now you can utilize this SSD drive and read it and flash it, whatever you need to do for your crypto mining hardware. Now, next on my list of stuff miners should probably have is their very own test bench. Now, why would you need a test bench? Well, you use your test bench to plug into your watt meter so that you can test your GPU. Once you have it on there, you can subtract your system. You can know exactly how much power that GPU is utilizing. On top of that, if you try to match your test bench with a bunch of your GPU mining rigs, you also have an extra motherboard here. You have some extra RAM. You got extra hard drive in case need be. You got an extra power supply. You have all the extra parts to build another rig if some type of failure happens. And I always recommend everybody have at least one rig base complete without any GPUs, because obviously you don't want to put GPUs to the side in case some blow up, because that's wasted revenue. So at least have your test bench hanging out there so you can utilize it in case something blows up on your normal rigs. Now, as for mining frames, the test bench does help with that. There's different various ways you can run your test bench. It doesn't need to be in a mining frame itself, and it's very rare that you have catastrophic failures with a mining frame, so I don't really think you need extra of these. But it's always good to be building rigs in case you get a whole bunch of GPUs, you find them on sale. You always want spare parts, so that extra frame could come in handy if all of a sudden, whoa guys, look, GPUs on sale, almost free. I got to grab a whole bunch and you don't have to worry about that frame. All right guys, so now that I'm kind of in the main crypto room here for myself, the next thing you are going to want to utilize, if you plan on running 200 volt plus, you're going to want a PDU. And a PDU is essentially your power distribution unit. So this is your PDU here. Mine is a triplet. You can find these on Amazon. And depending on the PDU you want will come down to price and the accessories you want available. Now, personally myself, I like the ones that are mixed between the C19 and the C13 plugs. This is a non-metered. A non-metered PDU does not have any type of amp voltage readings in them, and they're also quite smaller. As you can see, it fits right here, and it is loaded with plugs on this side and the back, which we will look at in a few minutes here. But essentially, you can see that it is nice and small and compact. Now, a metered PDU, they cost 2 times, potentially 3 times the price, and it could be, you know, 6 to 8 feet long. Like, that thing could last length of that entire bar there almost. They're huge. And they're metered, so they tell you based on amps pretty much how much you're using, and a lot of them come with only C13 plugs, but again, you can get them with C19 plugs as well. Now, because I went with a non-metered, you're gonna have to see how much power you actually utilize. So to do that, I do have this Drock meter built into this box right here. So what is a Drock meter? This is a Drock meter. It's pretty much like I showed you the watt meter before, but I prefer these Drock meters on 200 plus volt. I do find it kind of be a little bit less accurate than the watt meters when it's only on 120. I got to do more tests. I need to order myself another one of these because I'm not sure. Maybe it's just this one. But when I was on 120, when I first got this, I tested it out on a couple GPUs, and it was showing a different wattage. It was slightly less power being drawn using this meter on 120 volt than the standard watt meter. And then when I threw it on the 240 volt like I have now, then it was showing me the correct power, the same as those watt meters. So it leads me to believe that these aren't as accurate at lesser voltages. Again, it could just be the one I have, and I will have to get another one just to kind of test that out for myself. Now, when it comes to these boxes, you know, you can get them 3D printed in various ways. I would not recommend PLA. PLA does have a little type of fume coming out of it, and it is 100% flammable. So be very careful. That is not something you want to utilize as a junction box. On top of that, they're not CRA. I'm in Canada, so I'm going CRA, but they're not CRA approved. So if I was to ever have a fire or something, obviously insurance would not cover it because this is not scientifically or engineered to be proven here. But you can get something like one of these, or smaller. You don't need a big honker one like this, but get something that is approved. I plan on switching this box out. Even though it looks nice, I want to put in something that has the stamp of approval. That way I'm, you know, it's in my house. So if something happens to my house, a fire or something, they can't bring it down to this and say, you know what, that's an issue. We're not covering anything. So I would recommend everything being approved by your local governments. So back to my PDU system here for a second. As you can see, I was mentioning about the C13 and C19 plugs. So these C19 plugs, these are 12 amps per plug. They got individual breakers in them. The whole PDU is set for 30 amps, up to I guess about 300 or 400 volts. This one's I'm running 240. But each one here is on its separate individual little button here. These are little mini breakers within it, like a reset button, and they're at 12 amps each. You can just times 12 by 240, and that'll tell you the wattage you can get out of here. And you do usually find these plugs on any power supply around 1500 watts or higher. You start getting into ASICs or something, you're gonna have to start looking for conversion plugs where you go from C13 to C19 and stuff if you get a PDU with strictly only C19. So I do like to have the ability to be able to switch it. Same thing with these OCTOMINERs. You know, the splitters coming out of the back are running these C19 plugs. So it made it nice and handy to simply plug it in here, and they're nice thicker cables. They're made for the higher power. Now C13, everything under 1500 watts is what you normally find in almost everyday power supplies. You know, anything like these, your server power supplies like these, they all have your C13 type of plugs. And this has a bank of 4 here. So these are 8 amps. Each 4 bank here is 8 amps. And then on the back side, I have, I think, 1, 2, 3, I think I have 4 banks with 8 amps in each bank. So I got a ton of plugs here utilizing this small, nice little compact PDU. And speaking of conversions, I have one here where you can see it's the C14. Now the higher number is always your male end and the smaller number is your smaller end. So this is a C14, which plugs into your standard C13 plugs that you see like on this PDU. And this is your C19, which would plug into your C20 plugs. But this is the conversion you gotta need. Like I did have an ASIC a while ago. It only utilized like 800 watts where C13 was fine, but it did need this big plug here. So I did get this just so I could plug this into my actual 120 volt and run it off my watt meter to see the exact power consumption. But you know, this is what I mean by not having to look for a cable like this. If you get something with the versatility, you don't have to, you know, trying to do different switcheroos around. Now enough about the PDU. You know you're dealing with one. Extra parts you are going to want to have is obviously extra plugs. You buy equipment, you're going to need extra plugs. So I really recommend you to have extra plugs, not just order them when you think you need them, as well as, you know, Ethernet cables. Always get extra Ethernet cables. I'm out now. I wanted to do a test and I did not follow my own advice. I bought about 20 of these not too long ago because I was getting all these new CPU rigs in and I just burnt right through them all. I don't have any extras, so I got to order myself some new extras. But yes, Ethernet cables, you can run through them fairly fast, especially if you start expanding. So always have extras. You never know if maybe an Ethernet cable goes out, so you're going to want to make sure to have yourself a couple extra of those. Now, as a GPU miner and you're not utilizing something like say an OCTOMINER or a server case or something, obviously you're running an open air frame, you're going to be needing risers. Now risers is something you should 100% have extra of. Usually in GPU mining rigs, when you start running into errors on your cards or it's not hashing the same or there's something going on, it usually comes down to just switching out the riser. So this is a #1 priority to have extra of. Now you can get ones like this from GPURisers.com. Code RabidMining will grant you 10% off anything there, except for their new OCTOMINER style type of mining frames, I believe. But everything else, it should work. But if not, you can get cheaper ones, like from Ubit ones, I believe. You can get Ubit and some other brands on Amazon themselves, and they work just fine and they have great warranty. I do find that I get quite a bit of duds from ordering Ubit, but they replace them right away, and it will save you a bunch of money if you decide to do that. But these are very, very nice risers from GPURisers.com if you choose to take that route. So I'm kind of moving into my corner here, and you can kind of see extra parts and stuff I got, power supplies and whatnot. Now depending if you're running ATX power supplies, yes, you're going to want extra ones of those, obviously, because you never know if a power supply goes out or something. If you're running server power supplies, you're going to want to have extra server power supplies. You don't want your power supplies to go bad on you and all of a sudden you are down and you don't have one, you got to order one. You should always have extra parts of key components. Myself as well, you know, you can get an iFixit kit if you want, $100 or something. I got this from Canadian Tire. It was like $20 Canadian. So what is that, like $15 for you guys USD? You probably don't have a Canadian Tire, but you don't need to get the high brand parts or anything. Simple, cheap kits like this has anything I absolutely need to do any maintenance, and it's super cheap. I could buy 5 of these for one iFixit kit. But again, you know, iFixit has a cool little case and stuff. But you know, I absolutely love this. This is my Canadian Tire crypto repair kit. It's insane. I love it. You know, power cables here, breakout boards if you need. Now, none of this stuff, you can get some of this stuff on Amazon, but most of this is from Parallel Miner. I'll have links to that as well. Find on eBay though, if I can find that proper power supply. I'm not really sure where it is. Oh, I lost it, guys. Never mind, I found it in my mess beside this RebTech board. These Dell power supplies are actually very, very cheap. This is a Platinum Plus 750 watt. You can get them up to 1200, even higher. But you can get these actually on eBay for very, very cheap. Now, they don't use a common slot like we see with most HP server power supplies. So you can see this slot here, it is a lot wider. Look how skinny this one is compared to that one. So we can kind of get an upward angle. Aren't quite as many pins. It's kind of separated different, but that's okay because I can guarantee that Parallel Miner, they do have ZSX boards and everything for these, which I'll show you in a second. So I'm not sure what I did with the ZSX board. You know, the ZSX is the one with your 24 pin that can power your complete power supply. But here is an X11, but I can confirm they do have ZSX versions for these little light on power supplies. So look at that pinout layer there. Don't mix those up. I'll kind of give you guys a showcase here. We got that versus a regular slot, and you can see here how much bigger that common slot is on the HP server power supplies versus that little light on. But like I said, these are much more cheaper than the HP server power supplies, and you can get the same breakout boards for Parallel Miner as the HP ones as long as you select the right slots here. But ZSX and X11s are available for those cheaper power supplies, which are also rated as platinum, so you do save a bit of power there. Alright guys, so that probably is pretty much all the main things I think every miner should at least have, and some things that you should have multiple things of. So I like to think of it this way: have everything to build a complete new rig minus the GPUs. That way, if anything happens to a current rig, you can simply have a part to replace that. That's power supply, that's a motherboard, you know, a CPU, some RAM, everything to get that thing running. Obviously risers are a major issue when it comes to GPUs going down, but that's not always the cause, but it usually is. And then again, never use SATA. Some people are still using SATA. Maybe for Ethereum you may get away with it. I wouldn't push your luck, but always use 6-pin connectors, especially once Ethereum is gone. I have a really bad feeling people are going to start burning down their houses from melting their cables, moving to something like Kapow, Prog Power, whatever those Pow algorithms are in terms of Ravencoin, Furo, and I don't know, all the other ones out there as well. So anyway, thank you for watching, guys. Links in the description. If you're not yet an Amazon Prime member, be sure to sign up. Hit the link. If you're searching for anything, it greatly helps the channel. I will see you guys on the next one. Rabid out. Thank you for watching my video, and if you haven't seen one of these, be sure to check them out. And if you already seen them, maybe you missed some, might have to watch it one more time. And if you just let it play in the background, that's all right as well. I do try to live stream every weekend as well as every couple days during the week, so be sure to be subscribed so you don't miss that. As always, have a great day.